And for 60 minutes, we play Iowa State football together.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back into another episode of the Iowa State Fan Perspective here at Play the Fight Song College Football Show. Happy Victory Tuesday. Appreciate you guys jumping in with us today. My name is Jake. I'm your guys' host, joined each and every single week by my co-host, my brother, Justin. And Justin, we are going to be talking the only 4-0 team in college football that is your 12th ranked in the AP poll, Iowa State Cyclones. Tonight, we got a bye week episode, so we're just going to basically recap the Arkansas State game, basically break down what the next portion of the schedule looks like for the Cyclones before they have another bye week, and really lay out the expectations of what this season lies ahead, because as we are all passionate fans around here, I'm going to guess there were not a lot of you who were gung-ho on this team being 4-0 as we head into this bye week. So, Justin, before we do jump into all of that, I know we haven't really touched base since the game. I know you were out playing a little golf. Was probably a little more relaxing than watching that fourth quarter of the game. So, how we doing? We ready to talk a little bit bye week, a little bit Arkansas State recap?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say it was relaxing. I don't know if anything about that Saturday evening was relaxing, but good to get another win. I know it's probably been beaten to death by now, but just by how that game unfolded. But just like you said after the game, you texted me, in this house, we don't complain about winning. So
that, leaving some vulgarity out of what I said to you. In this house that I live in this podcast, we do not complain about winning around here. So if you're going to look for us to really nitpick and just complain about this team and the lackluster performance that was on Saturday, you might want to go find another podcast, because you're not going to find that. But we will be very positively critical of some things.
Might nitpick a little bit, but yeah. I'd rather nitpick a W than nitpick a loss. So
yeah, absolutely. I think so. All right, before we jump into all that, wanted to give a shout out to our partners, shopnorivals.com. Use the code PTFS at checkout for free shipping on the best hats in collegiate sports. We don't have a Cyclone game to give us a score prediction for this week, but I figured we might as well just keep this thing rolling. So you guys give us a score prediction for any of the Big 12 games. So that could be Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, West Virginia, TCU, SMU. Give us a score prediction. If you go 2 for 2, you pick the right team to win, and you get the correct score, and you're subscribed here at Play the Fight Song, we will get you guys a hat at shopnorivals.com. We actually had another winner. We've had 2 winners in the last 2 weeks, not on the Iowa State show, but on Cam's show on the Nebraska side of things. We did have a winner over there guessing the correct score of the Houston Christian Nebraska 59-7 rout. Dang. Somebody just knew that the Huskers were going to take the field on Saturday.
That's impressive.
And absolutely put belt to tush. GA, not to shut you out. Well, we do want to shut you out as our AWL, but we do. I don't know. Maybe you have gotten in touch with Parks or not. We will get you that hat. Shout out to GA, 16-13 Iowa score. We will do our due diligence and get our second correct score winner a nice cap at shopnorivals.com. All right, Justin. Where do you want to start? I mean, I think there is a lot to actually touch on, maybe just from the game side of things, what we kind of expected. I think mostly any Iowa State fan you talk to was really guessing this would be a comfortable win. Now, comfortable could also have meant not even covering the spread of 20 and a half, 21 and a half, whatever it closed at. Comfortable could have been 14 points in the fourth quarter and maybe just running the clock out. That is not what you got in Jonesboro on Saturday in the 112-degree heat. Iowa State wins at Arkansas State 24-16. And I really marked down, Justin, some of the most critical plays in the fourth quarter and kind of some of those last possessions that really closed the game for Iowa State. It was really a series of penalties that kept Arkansas State out of the end zone from taking the lead. I believe they had to settle for a field goal, which made it 17-16. And then I think it was the following drive that Iowa State set up a big Xavier Townsend 44-yard catch in an Abu Sama on the goal line, bulldoze trucking touchdown that put the Cyclones up 8. I think Arkansas State then got the ball back, I want to say 2 more times. I don't have it correctly in my notes. I think they got the ball back twice, but on the final possession where Iowa State retained possession, Carson Brown's one-handed catch closed the game for the Cyclones on Saturday. One of the more impressive catches, maybe the best catch of the year, maybe outside of that Gabe Burkle pop pass catch or tip catch as well. That, I mean, out of the receivers, I thought that might have been the best catch we've seen from a receiver all season. So what was your initial takeaways from Iowa State's victory as far as maybe gut feeling? Does your feelings change on this team? Do you take anything away from it, or we kind of touched on it before? Are you just taking the win for what it is?
I mean, yeah, I'm taking the win for what it is in a way, and I'm not surprised that this Iowa State team kind of struggled in this spot. This was obviously a game that we were a little bit concerned about. Obviously, had a lot of things stacked against them. Had the 4th game in a row, coming off the Ireland trip, coming off the FCS win, and then coming off the big rivalry game against Iowa. Had the heat, had to play on the road in that environment. I mean, obviously, everyone knows about the difficulties that Iowa State was going up against. At the same time, I was really looking forward to seeing this team kind of putting that narrative to bed. And I kind of expected them to play a lot better than they did. I don't really think that's much of a shock either. Because coming into it, I mean, I felt like they've answered the 3 games, the 3 question marks they've had up to this point really well. And I kind of expected this to be a little more similar to that South Dakota game than what we got on Saturday. I thought they were going to come out and slap them in the face right away and kind of run away with it, and then show that they are a mature team and that they can answer the bell when they need to. But obviously human nature kind of got the best of them this weekend. They tried to take that shot play right away. I was a little concerned right away watching them throw 3 passes right off the rip, especially in a game that we thought they could have established the run. There's just
I was
things that I'm worried about.
Just worried about what? The playmaking ability from the receivers, or like what's the concern? Because for me personally, yeah, it was a quick 3 and out, but I was more so pleased to see it. I was like, okay, good. I do like how we're kind of setting the tone. I would have loved maybe a run on 2nd down. I don't know about 3 straight pass plays, but I love the shot plays on 1st and 3rd down. I mean, you got to go for it, I think, to start the game.
Yeah, whenever I just start looking at this game, when I look at it under a microscope, I start to get really worried seeing a lot of areas that this team has to improve. And then when I zoom out, kind of calm myself down a little bit, it doesn't really worry me as much. But this team still has a lot of flaws. And like, if they want to be 10-2, 11-1, 12-0, like we want them to be, they have a lot of things to fix, and they need to be more consistent for 4 quarters. And that's the biggest thing that worries me is South Dakota they did, but Kansas State, Iowa, in this game, they're just not sharp enough for 4 quarters. And eventually it's going to come back to bite them. And then we started to see some injuries this weekend, and that just starts to worry me because we saw how impactful some of those injuries can be when guys go down.
It's not even a this year, Justin. I mean, it could go back as far as really started the UCF game where you just get down super early and you do this whole comeback thing. Now, UCF was the extreme of all that, but I mean, for the most part, a lot of those 1-score games, Iowa State didn't really get ahead. It was a lot of kind of slow starts, sluggish starts to really get going. Cincinnati comes to mind. I feel like I'm missing Baylor, another game. I know that wasn't a 1-score game, but even last year, one of the best wins in Iowa State season last year. What were they down? Was it 14-0 or something like that? They had to just like, I don't know what it is with this team and slow starts, but I will say too, when you play marginal football, I texted one of my good friends, it's like you play marginal football, you're going to F around and find out. Like if you F around in marginal football, you're going to find out. So you find out within mistakes on the road at a G5 school, missed field goal, missed extra point. We'll talk about Kyle Conradi here in a minute. Perkins almost drops one of the worst punts I'd ever seen in my life. I had not been worried Iowa State was really going to lose the game up until I saw him drop the punt. And my heart just stopped for about 0.5 seconds there. He still got off a decent 45-yard punt. you do the roughing the kicker or roughing the punter. I think that was Drew Surgis who did it, which is, again, it's whatever, but that set up an 8-9 minute drive that really kept them in the game in the second quarter. And then a missed block when Iowa State kicked, I think it was their first field goal. I think it was their first field goal. They're set up on the 5-yard line. And this is, I'm not always paying attention to Campbell, especially when I'm watching the game on TV or in person. But this was the most pissed I'd seen Campbell all year, was that goal line play. They put in a guy where they have one of those big jerseys where they throw him on, and so he's an eligible receiver. So I don't even know who it was. I think it was one of the tight ends. He completely misses his kick block on the right side, and Rocco gets sacked. And Campbell was livid, absolutely livid. I don't know if he was pissed at the missed block. I mean, probably. I think there was also a little bit. It was kind of a cute play call because you were running the ball really well that possession. And I think he was pissed at Mouse and saying, just run the damn ball. You rush for, I don't know, what was it? You look at the stats here. Abu rushed for 7.7 yards per carry.
We ran the ball for 5.5 yards a carry and barely won against a group of 5 school.
Yeah. So I think Campbell was really, really fired up at both of those things. So just stuff like that. You're settling for field goals early. And I said to my friend Max, we're sitting there watching the game, and I was like, I'm not worried about this game, but if it gets to be one possession, if it's a 1-score game going in the fourth quarter, like, it's anybody's ball game. That's when you really find out. So it is the MO for Iowa State. Yes, you feel confident that they can win these 1-score games, but I mean, this is Iowa State football. They're going to play these marginal close football games. But you just trust them at this point.
That's the thing, though, is like we say, this is Iowa State football. And like, if people don't want to, I know Matt Campbell would cringe in his seat hearing us say it's Iowa State football. Sometimes we're going to have this because they're trying to put that narrative to bed. And like, if you're trying to put that to bed, like, we got to be consistently gret. And
I'm not saying a derogatory like Iowa State football of old. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like this has been the last 2 years of Matt Campbell Iowa State football. Like this that's really what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, it's the Iowa State of old where they make some dumb boneheaded mistake at the end of the game. No, they've really been really crisp. Special teams has been good all year. That was the worst special teams performance we've seen the last 2 years. It's just
that was reminiscent of old.
Yeah. I'm saying the new version of this Iowa State football is they do kind of play sluggish starts, and they play in the margins, and they play super close games, and then they just trust themselves over the opponent when it gets nut crunching time with 5 minutes left. Iowa State posted today their recap video of the Arkansas State game. They get the clip of Campbell saying, I never get nervous with this team because I know you guys aren't nervous. So like, he knows, like, we live in these moments and we're okay with it.
Which that's great. And we love that about this team, but it's something that, I mean, when clearly they know how important like winning in the margins is and how close these games can be, that's what they're trying to do, trying to put themselves in those situations against the good teams. They got to know some of these lesser teams, and a lot of the teams, I'm not calling some of the teams on the Big 12 schedule lesser, but we're going to be favored in almost every Big 12 game this year. And coming into the Big 12, I mean, first Big 12 game, Arizona, we got a night game, national television. I mean, we're going to be gunned at for most of conference play, hopefully, because that means we're having success. So they got to know about that, or they're going to get bit in the butt. And you look at last year, some of the games where they did start slow, Kansas, Arizona State comes to mind. When some of these teams who are really talented and they can start clicking right away, they jump on you, and it can be too much to bounce back from. So I just don't want this to be a continuous problem for Iowa State and something that they have to address in a non-win. I'm hoping this loss in this bye week can give this team recovery, and hopefully it teaches them a lesson. Also kind of worries me a little bit because last year I know everyone was looking forward to that bye week right after UCF started 6-0, and then we all thought that heavenly bye week was going to help, and then we came out and lost 2 games right away. So I'm not banking on that, just resurrecting this team, but I do think fatigue definitely played a factor into this weekend. So hopefully the guys can get a little more healthy and learn a little bit going into that Arizona game.
I'm glad you said that, because everybody's like, oh, the bye week came at a much needed time. Hopefully that's the case. Last year, I'm not really sure what the bye week was spent on. Granted, that team had a ton of injuries heading into that bye week, which this team doesn't have a ton of injuries at this moment, but I mean, they got banged up in this game, Justin. We got some injuries we're pretty uncertain about. So who knows what team is going to take the field in 2 Saturdays from now. But it's like the bye week did come at a good time, but it's like, where is this team sitting? Are they kind of regressing? We were kind of just limping to the finish line, getting to this bye week. We're like, just get to the bye week. Kind of like that UCF game. We limped through that game, the big comeback. You come back from it. Now it's like, okay, now what are you going to do? Yeah. And also, maybe last year was another great learning experience from the bye week. Maybe the coaching staff is probably more intentional with what they learned from that bye week and losing 2 straight after that, heading into this one and how that can translate into the rest of the year. I will say this too. We can be controversial. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Am I over the away game, the G5 away game talk? Like, I just don't. It's kind of one of those things I've just heard too many times where I just don't care anymore. We're already talking about, like, we got to buy out the Bowling Green game in 2 years. There's been a lot of talks of that because we're doing the home and away with Bowling Green, and we just have to keep scheduling these G5 games at home every year. I don't know. Yeah, you're becoming a much bigger time program, and big time programs buy out of those games and host them at home every year. But it's just above my pay grade. Like, that's Jamie's problem. And a lot of people are saying, well, Matt Campbell doesn't want to do it. And I think Matt Campbell should be very vocal about it. And I'm sure Jamie will listen. But up until this point, I don't think Campbell has really voiced his opinion about these G5 games that much. Really, the only time he mentioned it was after the Kansas State game. And I don't know, Coach, we can't reschedule Arkansas State a month in advance. Like, these are planned 10 years at a time. So if we want to buy out that Bowling Green game, now is the time to be vocal about it. Your press conference is probably today while we're speaking. You should probably embarrass Jamie a little bit and throw him under the bus and say, I don't want to be in that Bowling Green game in 2 years, and be active about it. But don't just like not say anything. He's never said anything about those away games the last few years. Now's the time if you're going to do it. And if you don't say it, then I don't care. Like, I go to the Bowling Green game. It is what it is, and it'll be fine. That's just all I had to say. The talk of it was just overused heading into the game. Oh, I can't believe Ohio State's scheduling this game. I can't believe they're heading down to Jonesboro. And then after the game, it's like, I can't believe they scheduled that game. It's like, I'm over it. They won. I don't care.
Yeah, it's a non-issue for me. If people are that concerned and worked up about going and playing a G5 team on the road, they're soft as hell, in my opinion. So
I kind of like that. Do you know they played Tulane in 2029, right?
Hopefully their head coach is on to greener pastures by then.
I
don't think that's. Yeah, let's just hope they don't hire another good head coach. Hey, that would be a tough one. They're now the G5 team to beat now, so that's a little different. So
Summerall will be gone, and 3 or 4 years from now, he'll definitely be on.
He'll be gone in a year.
Yeah, he'll be Kentucky's next head coach, so I'm not worried about that. And K-State went down there and won last year, so people relax. It's attainable. Matt Campbell's your coach. It's fine. All right. We'll kind of put this Arkansas State game to rest, but I do want to spend a couple more minutes talking about it because I highlighted it in my notes, Justin, the biggest takeaways from the game. And I'll go through them, and then I'll kind of let you take the floor from there. It's biggest takeaways for me. And if you want to follow me on Twitter and you see a lot of my pointless tweets, I tweet live as I go, just give my thoughts out there. But this is what I had down. Lots of young guys got in the mix, especially on defense. Was that from injury? Was that just trying to take advantage of this Arkansas State team? I don't really know. Jace Gilbert got in there, had a sack. I thought he had great pressure out on the edge. He was one of the best defensive linemen, I thought, all day. He actually was probably the best defensive lineman all day for Iowa State. And he did really, really well in putting the pressure on him. Number 55. You saw Vontroy Malone, the Tulsa transfer. You saw Cannon Butler a little bit. You got that Trey Bell pick. That was awesome. Something I kind of missed was John Tez's limited snaps. He's only played 14 times, and he really wasn't in that much because he tweaked his ankle or something. That kind of just there were so many other young guys in the game that I kind of honestly missed that in real time. There was no Gabe Burkle. Cooper Alexander played a ton. Tyler Moore, I thought, might have been the best receiver for Iowa State outside of Xavier Townsend on Saturday. The rush push was exactly what we expected. The result really wasn't what we expected, but guys, we didn't go to Ohio a couple of years ago and run for 5.5 yards per carry. That didn't happen. That was really encouraging for me. Wide receiver making big catches. Dominic Overby touchdown. Xavier Townsend long catch. A one-handed catch by Carson Brown. Again, I thought that was the best catch we'd seen all year. Kyle Conrarty's health. I don't know. That's really interesting. You lost the time of possession by 9 minutes in a game where you ran for 5.5 yards per carry. That's also very, very telling. The last one I'd say is third down defense. I thought the defense gave up multiple big third down conversions. What do you do? What do you make of this continued issue for Iowa State? And is the running quarterback going to come back and hurt us again this season? That's all questions I can leave out there. I know I went through like 9 different things, Justin, but one that I said stood out to you, or is there anything else I missed?
Do you want to start on offensive side or defensive side?
Floor is yours, man.
Are you at all concerned that we haven't established a number one receiving target, or that we haven't even leaned towards a number one receiving target? We don't need to have an NFL guy. We don't need to have anything like that.
We said that in the summer. It's
not even close. Like we don't know who we're going to on third and long or fourth down or something like that. We want to say the tight ends, but Burkle's not there. Bramer had one catch all day, and that drop I didn't even put that interception.
Yeah, I didn't even put that in our mistake.
Because I would say Bramer. I mean, Townsend started to play a little better. We didn't get anything from Eskilson this weekend. Was it Eskilson or Overby?
Eskilson.
Didn't get anything.
Dom had a touchdown.
Yeah, didn't get anything from Eskilson. Chase Sowell, 2 catches.
Big drop in the
fourth quarter.
A little behind him, but that's all right.
These are things we're going to need when the going gets rough, and the fact that like we don't even really have the semblance of a go-to target means that Rocco Becht is going to need to be perfect, and Taylor Mauser is going to need to be really good. And it worries me a little bit.
Yes and yes. Should it be a concern? Absolutely. The optimistic side of me thinks this could be really beneficial for Iowa State on the scouting side of things, like their opponent's scout, because it's like, who do you put your best corner on? I think while we don't have a number one guy, and while like Dom dropped some catches in the Iowa game, obviously you just said Chase's drop, Bramer's drop. The drop's got to get cleaned up. That is inexcusable. I will say we have seen numerous, and I mean numerous guys make big plays when we needed them the most.
We have.
Brett Eskilson made a huge catch in the K-State game. Dom Overby made a big catch in the K-State game and this game. I just mentioned Carson Brown. Welcome to the party. Like, that was awesome to see. Chase Sowell, again, like he dropped one, but I think we haven't even seen, if he's the 4th option on this receiving core, that's really hard to guard. I think that's really hard to guard. And if you can get your 4th best corner guarding him, that's going to open up opportunities for him. We've seen Gabe Burkle be really good, who was also out. We've seen Bramer be good. We were all shocked by that drop because that's not Ben Bramer. Like, he's been really reliable.
Especially with Burkle being out, him only getting 1 catch all day just kind of concerned me a little bit. And I don't know if that's something the defense was trying to take away. I don't know that, but just something that was a little concerning for me.
We haven't seen a guy step up. But when we've needed something, and I didn't even mention Xavier Townsend, when we've needed something, somebody has stepped up in some sort of capacity. Because if we hadn't had a guy step up, Justin, this team would be 2-2, 3-1. Like, this team would have a loss on the record if somebody couldn't step up at the receiver spot or tight end position. But we said it again. It hasn't been pretty. But when push comes to shove and you need a play, somebody's made a play. Like, 1 of 5 guys have made a play when you've needed it. So it's in there. Now it's just a matter of, is it going to be one guy all the time? At this point, no, probably not. But you just said it. Taylor Mauser is going to have to be really good, which he has been so far. And maybe that's just the next step for Rocco Becht. And that just makes him one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And he just throws guys open and he's able to find wide open guys. And hopefully all they have to do is they don't have to make a Jaden Higgins type catch. They just have to get open and make the catch. And you have a quarterback you can trust.
And those are two guys that I trust a lot. I'm glad you kind of talked me off the ledge there a little bit. Because as far as offense goes, that's kind of what I was worried about the most. But I feel like the thing that I probably came away from the game the most concerned about, and this is kind of like the last more negative thing I want to talk about before we can get into some of the positives. What do you make of this third down defense? Because I know the stats weren't that bad. 7 of 16 is not terrible. Obviously, it was good enough to win us the game. But anytime they needed a big third down, and a lot of the times it was 3rd and 6 or longer, I felt like they were getting it. And it was a lot of time coming off the quarterback's legs or defense breaking down or something. It just continued to gash and adds up. And I think that's where that 9 minutes of time of possession really came into play, because there were a couple times they just went on some drives and when this Iowa State defense that we're so accustomed to them stepping up in big time moments just continue to give up big third downs. And at this point, I don't really expect them to get third down stops in the middle of the field. I really only expect them to play well when it comes to the red zone, which is another very risky game to play. And it's starting to concern me a little bit.
It is concerning. And as a fan, it's hard to watch. But at the same time, it's just like, there's one thing you've trusted in this Iowa State era, in this Matt Campbell era. It's that John Haycock just figures it out and makes adjustments. And
they don't have the injuries to lean on at the beginning of the season so far.
No, you're right. But it's like when push comes to shove, it's like this team just finds a way to give the offense an opportunity. And it's not always the prettiest and it's not always the best. The only time I've ever seen an Iowa State defense really let the team down was Texas Tech last year on the last possession.
Kansas.
It was like wow. Okay. Yeah.
Arizona State, maybe.
When you needed to stop,
stop. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've always trusted.
We all thought after that Rocco touchdown that we were going to win the game.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll say a couple of things. The heat definitely got to them. The interior of the defensive line was terrible. That goes for Dom Orange. That goes for Zamir Hawk. And I'm not here to be big X's and O's guy. And I know everything. I clearly don't. I don't know defense. I'm not a defensive coordinator, but I thought those guys were really bad. And I thought they were slow, and I'm sure it was hot as hell and they were gassed, and we don't really have anybody else to rely on at that spot. But those two struggled big time, and they let Rayner get free inside the tackles. And that usually doesn't happen. I hope Jace Gilbert is a positive, and I hope he can continue to build off this, because we need a guy like that. I love Tamatoa McDonough. Thought he got a lot of pub for just 2 big sacks he had at the end of the game last week. And outside of that, I don't think he would have graded all that well against Iowa. So we need more of that, and we need more consistent Jace Gilbert.
Those were really obvious passing downs that
Iowa was in. It was very.
They are really bad and obvious passing downs.
Yeah. I tweeted this one out. Carson Willick, you miss dearly. I think he just adds another element to the linebacker / safety room that we miss so much. Like the defense. You said great, Justin. You haven't seen a defense fly around so fast and hit so hard and just be so fast to the ball in that Kansas State game that I've ever seen. And Carson Willick was a huge part of that, just spying the quarterback, being around at all times. I thought he would have been the option plays killed us with Rayner yesterday or on Saturday. Killed us. Rayner was really good. And having a guy like Carson Willick to stay in front, I thought would have been huge. And we're going to find out, we finally get Big 12 injury reports again for this next week. So hopefully we know something about him, because I think we need that guy back. And then again, I hope John Tez is doing well, but Trey Bell was awesome. Yeah. I don't even know if that answers your question about Iowa State, but I really look at the defensive line that needs to step up.
Yeah.
We need guys to step up, and it's clearly obvious when they're not.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, they looked good at the end of the Iowa game, but I think that might be a little false read over kind of what the competition is that we're going to play the rest of the season.
People talk about
this guy needs to step up.
People talk about Will McDonald all the time. How you miss Will McDonald. Justin, I don't know if you watched our Colts yesterday. They're playing the Broncos. Wazarike was in a ton. He played a lot. And I'm like, God, I miss that guy. He did it all and didn't get enough credit. He was a big defensive lineman. And I'm watching Notre Dame Saturday night, and I'm watching T.O. I'm watching Tyler Onyedem play every snap. And I'm like, yeah, kind of made me sick a little bit. Just Iowa State misses guys like that. And it's, hybrid guys who can play inside and out. And I think we don't have any of those. We have guys that definitely can only play inside. And then we have kind of skinnier, lengthier pass rushers who haven't been really that good at pass rushing. I'm going to be completely honest.
They have the skill to do it, like in the Iowa game, when we're up and we know the other team's passing. But when we need big plays and we don't necessarily know what the other team's going to do, this is still a flawed defensive line. And they get a lot better in the red zone. Shout out number 95 for that. But it's kind of back to my point before where we can't continue to put ourselves in these 50-50 situations because this is a flawed team. And the more guys get hurt, like you said, Carson Willich, Jontez Williams, pray to God Marcus Neal never gets hurt. Another 7 tackles out of him this weekend.
Yeah, he had a quiet 7 too. He really did.
Still led the team in tackles with 7 again. But the whole defense was a little slower this weekend. Like you said, I think the heat and fatigue definitely played a part into that.
Oh.
When I watched Caleb Bacon get stiff-armed into the ground, that's when I was like, oh no.
That was
that was the play that really concerned me because I was like, oh shit.
I think Campbell said it. Like, Arkansas State has real speed. It was the size mismatch that I thought Iowa State was going to be able to take advantage of that they really didn't. But like, guys, if you know anything about Arkansas State, like the speed is real with that team. Rayner has seen Iowa State twice now. He's a solid quarterback. He's an all-conference quarterback in the Sun Belt. Corey Rucker's really good. The Crawford kid, he might be all 5'5" of him, but he was also really good on Saturday. So this team has real speed, and they were comfortable playing in their home turf. Biggest home game I think they've ever had in their history. I don't think a ranked team's ever played in Jonesboro, is what they said on TV.
At least the highest ranked team that's ever played there.
Sure. Yeah, there you go. So they were ready to go, and they bounced back. Also, credits to them. They bounced back a lot better than I anticipated, because the narrative was that they were down from losing their Super Bowl to Arkansas and getting just absolutely de-pantsed.
We kind of talked about how desperate of a spot that was going to be for them, going back home, getting another ranked team. Like, it was kind of all on the line there for them.
Did you see Butch Jones's? I retweeted it today. Did you see his comments on the phantom holding call?
Mm-mm.
It's pretty good. If you guys want to go find it, I retweeted it earlier, but he was very upset. Said there was no excuse for it. He used to work with the guy who's the head of the Big 12 officials crew. And he says, I will be giving him 3 calls after this game. He already has 10 messages from me. So he will be hearing it from them. So Arkansas State feels like they very much got robbed of that game.
Well, they still doesn't guarantee them the 2-point conversion in the rest of the game, but that's okay.
That is true. If we want to look on the positive side of things too, how about that?
Let's do it.
Well, just how about that touchdown before the half? Like, Iowa State responded. Iowa State also, one thing that didn't even cross my mind, that was the first time Iowa State had trailed all season.
Mm-hmm.
4 games in, first time they trailed all season. So Iowa State fans put it in perspective, like, we're okay. And then they responded in 28 seconds and got the lead back.
That really, I felt like a huge, physical relief come over me when they scored that touchdown. It was I was obviously concerned in the second half, but I was most concerned after the roughing the kicker and then that touchdown. And then all of that just washed away in 28 seconds there. And I was like, oh, I haven't felt that watching a game in a while. That was a huge score.
It was a huge score. And sometimes when you play college football, you just need things to bounce your way. And you get the tip in the Iowa game last week, and you get what I thought was a bad holding call, was a missed holding call. It's just stuff like that good teams get breaks, great teams take advantage of it. And I think that's where this team is. And Justin, that should be the last thing we touch on before we head into this, before we close this thing out and kind of wrap this up for you guys. We appreciate you guys jumping in. By the way, as always, our weekly listeners, you guys are awesome to interact with, and we do appreciate you guys tuning in each and every single week, even during the bye. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Justin, next 3 games versus Arizona, at Cincy, at Colorado. I said great teams take advantage of bounces. What should be the expectation for this team? Are you laying it out there? Like, is it okay. Well, am I going to be the guy that says this? Sure. Is it 10 wins or bust for this team? That doesn't even, like, 10 wins doesn't guarantee you in Dallas. So I think it's better than saying conference championship or bust. Is 10 wins or bust? Is it 10 wins or bust for this team?
Well, I said we were going to win 10 games while losing one of these first 4.
Yeah.
Theoretically, I would assume that we're going to win 11 games.
You're going to be favored in probably
we're going to be favored in every game but the TCU game, probably, unless like we start losing, obviously. That Cincinnati game is going to be really tough in a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really tough games on the schedule. This Arizona team is a lot better than we expected. They've got they're not bad.
No, absolutely.
The score may have been close against Kansas State, but they dominated Kansas State on Friday.
Yeah.
They played really well. Cincinnati's tough. We've got to go to their place, kind of like this Arkansas State team where we handled them pretty well here at home. They've got a mobile quarterback. That's a really big Big 12 game for them. We've got to go on the road there. That's one of those games preseason where I was thinking about writing in loss for Iowa State when we were trying to predict the season. So that's not going to be an easy game. Mm-hmm. And if you think it's going to, you're just wrong. Go look at ESPN. You could see, I was just looking at our games, the rest of the way. ESPN's metrics or whatever, they're kind of crap anyways, but they actually have Cincinnati as a greater % chance of winning that game than us, just to kind of put that game into perspective. Really? Yeah, they do. Colorado, not sure what Iowa State's record is at Folsom Field, but it's probably pretty horrible. And then
Colorado had a stretch where they were pretty bad, but you could keep going.
We've got BYU, who's still undefeated. We've got Arizona State, who we all know what they did to us last year, and everyone's ready to write them off. But if you watch the second half of that Mississippi State game, I started to have really hardcore flashbacks to that Big 12 championship and just how smash mouth they are. Yep. Sam Levitt still very mobile. Which
did you see that play this weekend?
Yes. That past Jordan Tyson.
That one, and then he had a run. I'll have to go back and find it. It was probably the best 15-yard run I'd seen all year, where he like spun around a dude, juked out 2 more guys, did a little Seneca, ran back across the field, and got 15 yards. So the team is still very much very good.
And I projected us to win that game. And after watching this weekend's game, I'm starting to have real second thoughts about that, because if that's how Rayner went all over us this weekend, I'm very concerned about what Levitt in that run game is going to do to us and his mobility, just like it did in the Big 12 championship game. And then who do we got after that?
It'd be TCU.
At TCU.
Kansas,
TCU still only played 1 game. Their passing attack could be a lot for us. We'll see what it looks like there at the end of the year. We're coming off of a couple really big games, and they're coming off a bye game going into that. We've already touched on that. And then we've got Kansas, who's beat us 3 out of the last 3 years.
2 back-to-back years, or no, 3 in a row. Years.
They've beaten us 3 in a row, and they've looked really good so far. And then we got Oklahoma State. So I won't say if this team ends up going 9-3 that it's a disappointment, because I still think that would be a good year. But starting this year 4-0, I think the expectation is we got to go 10-2 again for sure.
And this 3-game stretch before the next bye is very attainable. Like we just touched on, like we'll touch on Arizona next week. Clearly,
yeah. I didn't want to dive too deep into it because I know we're going to.
I just think Iowa State can get after them. I think Iowa State can put them in uncomfortable situations, but we'll see. I'm glad the whole country's figuring out who Ishmael Mahdi is. Welcome to watching college football outside of, Power 4 programs, Texas State running back. But he's really good. Cincinnati, I think there's some spots. That's one team Iowa State's had a lot of success over in the last couple of years. And then Colorado just looks like a dumpster fire right now. And that's college football. We don't overreact, right? We don't overreact until last week of September.
Well, you see, I think that's kind of exactly what college football is people consistently overreacting week to week.
So we'll see if that's the same Colorado team that took the field last Friday.
I hope so.
I hope so. I hope so too. But we've seen teams like how many Gundy teams the last couple of years it started, 1-3 and turned it around, or at least they did a couple of years ago. So it can happen. Like these bad teams can get better.
We play some good teams, but I feel like the home versus away splits go really favorably for Iowa State, and we avoid Utah, Texas Tech, and Baylor. So
you avoid Texas Tech and Utah. Like if there was a pot of Arizona State, Utah, and Texas Tech, you said you'd rather just play one of those. I would rather get Arizona State right now at this point.
I'd rather play Texas Tech. I think we match up against them better, but that's a defense. That's a matchup thing, but I understand your point.
So schedule still draws very, very, very favorably.
Yes,
as
for
we
sure.
enter the last week of September.
If you gave all of the Big 12 contenders a choice at what schedule they'd choose, I think they would all choose Iowa State's.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So there we have it. If Iowa State doesn't go 12-0, this entire season has been a waste of our time. That's exactly what I learned from this podcast, Justin. Thank you for
the sign is coming down behind me.
Before we head out of here, appreciate you guys tuning in. It's unfortunate we don't have a game to talk about on Saturday, but another great week of college football coming up. Tune into our live weekly episode of Play the Fight Song. We cover all 136 tomorrow night, or actually we're putting this out on Tuesday. So tonight, tune into our live episode as we dive into week 4. Again, shopnorivals.com. Use the code PTFS at checkout for free shipping. Can't comment on the Cyclones this week, but we'll give you guys a pass. Give us any Big 12 game to comment on this week. You go 2 for 2. You tell us the highlight of your week, and you are subscribed, because we're all about positivity around here. You're subscribed to the channel. We will get you guys a hat at shopnorivals.com. My voice probably still doesn't work. So there you go. My name is Jake. That's my brother Justin. See you guys next week. And as always, go Cyclones.